Hi guys, Freaky Fish Guy here with another deck profile. If there's loads of editing in this video, then it means I'm still dying from a horrible cough. So today this one is for Chain Burn, that deck that dishes out insults left and right, and then burns your opponent for it as well. Loads of people call this a scrub deck. I also kind of think it's, I wouldn't see it as a scrub deck, but more of an easy deck to learn. Teaches things like chain links really easily as well. So this is actually the deck I always give to people to learn for, because it doesn't have a complex win condition, and all the cards pretty much do as they say on the tin. So always have a positive outlook on Chain Burn. So onto the deck list itself. Monster lineup is very simple. 3 Lilith, the Lady Lament, and 3 Firecracker. So Lilith, you tribute her for cost, reveal 3 normal traps, set 1. Pretty much exactly as it says in the tin. You never really attack with monsters in this deck, apart from you could, I guess, attack with Firecracker if they've got an empty board for any reason. You just summon this, reveal like 3 Just Desserts, 3 Secret Barrel, well, get 1 and then it's gone. You don't really care about it at all. This dodges hand traps as well, like Imperma and Effect Veiler, because it tributes for cost. Can also be a quick effect, so don't forget that. Firecracker, most of the time this is just your hand trap, so your late game, don't ever shotgun this because you miss your next draw phase, that's the thing to remember. But you keep it in your hand and you ditch it for an extra 1,000 points damage, so chain link 4 or 5, especially with chain strike, just burn for 1,000. This can also be used in time, so say like, because this deck's kind of not slow, but it can grind a lot, so get in there time, discard this for an extra 1,000 points damage, get the win in time, and be that guy who gets branded a scrub for the rest of his life. But you still get the win at locals. You still get to go or X3 at locals. On to the spells. We have to play 3 Pot of Extravagance. This deck does not use this extra deck at all. It's a +1 pretty much. We don't care about not drawing for the rest of the turn because we're not playing any other draw cards. This is just here to give us more resources and start burning our opponent. On top of that, 2 Pot Duality. We don't play this at 3 because we don't see it too often because they activate 1 per turn. This deck needs to win. It either needs to do lethal in its opening 5 or have some way of surviving. If you ever have a mix of the two, it does not work well because you survive for a turn and you burn them for like 4k and then you're just top decking and you can't really do 4k off one top deck unless you're very lucky. But yeah, so these are spells we use for draw power. Moving on there as well to a few one-offs and spells. 1 Chain Strike, that's why it's called Chain Burn. Burn your opponent for 400 times the current chain link, but you can't use the same card in the chain link. Really good cards. That one because it won Worlds in 2017, I think, the Dragon Jewels. But yeah, I have to run this, and we are running 1 Mystic Mine. I could feel the dislike and hate right there already. So we're not playing Mine Burn because we're not a dedicated mine build. So we're not playing 3 of these, 3 DD Guide, 3 Demise of Land, whatever. We're playing 1 of these just with 1 Metaverse because there are those games where this just wins on its own. Without a doubt, like if your opponent doesn't draw into back row hate or spell and trap removal, this just wins games on its own, and it gives us a little bit more time to grind out and actually draw into our burn cards better. So yeah, you have to kind of play the one-off with a Metaverse, but it's not a dedicated mine deck. That's the spells and monsters done, so this must all be traps. 3 Just Desserts, burn your opponent for every 500 monster, burn your opponent 500 every monster they have, pretty simple. 3 Secret Barrel, 200 for every card on their field and in their hand. So these are your 2 main best ones, basically. 3 Secret Blast, 300 for every card they control, plus if it gets destroyed, they take an additional 1,000. This is really good because if they like Twin Twisters or MST into this, you can chain this, so it burns them for the effect. And then because it's popped, it deals them additional 1,000, so you can always chain it, so don't forget to do that. And then final burn card, 2 Ceasefire. This is basically a worse Just Desserts. 500 for each effect monster on the board. So it's the same as this, but only effect monsters. So this doesn't work with the Jama Trio, which is why it's only a 2 of. But it's still just a really good burn card that we need to play. Also interesting, playing against things like Guru, funny enough, this can flip up their flip monsters and they don't get their flip effects. So this did come up once, quite interestingly. But yeah, just something that happens. So those are the main burn cards you have. You want to see ideally like 4 or 5 of them in your set for the lethal, just to make sure they do enough damage. Play 3 Jama Trio. If people know how to play against burn, what you do is you don't commit too much to the board. You just summon 1 monster as a punch. That's how you win to burn, for those who actually want to learn how to beat the deck. So this makes sure they have enough stuff on board that these actually do enough damage, because this turns 1 monster into 4 So you're taking, instead of 500, you're taking 2k, which is a very big difference. So that's really important for things like this. They can't be attributed, so things like Monarch and True Draco, it's quite funny. Although they can be linked some of the way, which is obviously a bit of a weakness. Obviously, this also works with Mystic Mine, so we can be stingy like that. Next trap, 2 Blazing Mirror Force, 2 Magic Cylinder, Battle Protection. Everyone kind of just forgets about this card, so why not? You can run the better version, I can't remember what it's called. The one that doesn't target. I just don't have any because I never really invested much into this deck. It's just one of my decks that I have. It works just as well. Blazing Mirror Force, only problem is against things like Dingirsu, doesn't really do much with Fun Dragon boards, but against every other thing it does work. So if you need to, you can just side this out. But yes, really good Battle Trap and Burn cards as well. Next, 2 Ring of Destruction. Just spot removal, so say if you know they're going to make something that kind of screws you up. So they make the Galate the second time to go into Dingirsu, you Ring of Destruction, target it, destroy it. So before they make something that can't be destroyed by card effects. Interesting to think though, or to note, you cannot pop anything that has more attack than their life points. And you need to look up the rulings on a chain link order with this, because I don't actually know them because I don't play this deck. Like I said, I just lend it out. But yes, really interesting rulings with this card, so please check them up. Throw my cards everywhere. I'm ill. 2 Wabaku. And more protection. Just flip it up if they're going to pop it at all. So you don't take any damage. The errata version, so I think it's this one. Your monsters don't get destroyed by battle this turn. So you could, in theory, summon the Firecracker, let it get loads of counters, and then keep burning it. That's another thing Firecracker does. It burns in the end phase per counters per burn damage. So you could, for some reason, keep it around for another turn. Don't ever do that. Or say if you actually got your Awaken the Dragon targets, that could be fun as well for that. 2 Trap Trick. So you banish or trap, set the same trap from the deck. Always do this in your end phase if you've got an option, or just panic button, set Magic Cylinder, just make them think about swinging into you. But don't do what my friend does at the moment when he's learning this deck, bless him, is he activates this in the standby phase to go, haha, I've got you, set one just desserts. And then he realises he can only activate 1 trap for the rest of the turn, and I just punch him in the face for game. A lot. So yeah, do this in the end phase, guys. Don't ever shotgun it. Make sure we're learning what our cards do. Finally, 2 Awaken the Dragon, 1 Metaverse. Pretty much just standard staples for any sort of back row deck. So this just gets the Mystic Mine from deck. You can Ash this. Do this on when they've summoned a monster, because then it activates Mystic Mine. And they're locked out of monster effects from then on. Don't just play this off by hand going first, because obviously it'll pop itself in the end phase. Awaken the Dragon, don't ever set it off Trap Trick for obvious reasons. You can be sneaky with this, because you can go Lilith, reveal 2 of these and 2 Blazing Mirror Force. And either they have to pop the card that gets set, because it could be a Blazing Mirror Force before they swing, or they swing, and if it is more likely a Blazing Mirror Force, then they're just going to get hit in the face with a Blazing Mirror Force. Or you can do it with Magic Cylinder, etc. So you can play mind games with this, so that's quite a funny little thing to do. We have lots of good targets for this, which we're going to go through now. So yeah, Awaken the Dragon, when it's popped or banished face up, special summons a monster from deck or extra deck, so it can be ashed. But the targets for our extra deck, 2 Falcon. Once this hits the board, it's unaffected by everything, so it's just a 3/5 beat stick that they need to beat over by battle. Otherwise, it's just going to punch them in the face endlessly, and they have to deal with a big bird. Most people kind of out the big bird, so they just scoop to the big bird. We like the big bird. The next target, I like Crystal Wing, just Omni Negate for monster effects. Sorry, really good card. 3k beat stick that gets bigger as well if it swings into leveled monsters. So yeah, we're playing 3 because of Extravagance. The next thing, not a lot of people doing it, but Light Flare. So if people don't know what this does, it's a 5k beat stick that can negate a spell or trap once per turn, which is actually pretty decent against certain matchups like, I don't know. I don't play this deck. But yeah, in case it ever comes up, if you've banished the Ultimate Falcons, usually just go for this. So yeah, pretty funny deck. Pretty funny card even. 2 Dark Cavalry. It just gets big and it's quite interesting. This can negate again. I think it's a spell or trap, or is it anything? Card or effect is activated that targets a card on the field. So things like, I don't know, Widow Anchor, Twin Twisters, MST, anything to remove your cards. You can use this to negate, so that's pretty cool. Also, it gets 100 attack for each spell and trap in the graveyards. That's including both graveyards. We're playing, 34 traps and spells? So this can get very, very big very quickly, and it's a negate as well. So yeah, always a good card. Not a lot of people know about that one, but it's quite fun to do. For final options, 2 Naturia Beast, 1 Beals. So the Beals are just there to kick True Draker in the teeth, unless they draw into Stormforth, or they have Erupt on the board already before it's summoned, but they don't do that. So yeah, Beals, really good just beat stick option that can't be destroyed by card effects, and just gets bigger if you take damage for some reason. Nat Beast is there for the Skystriker matchup. Just win, basically. Just make this for free and they control the game from there. Final 2 extra deck cards, 2 Chimera Tech Mega Fleet, in case everyone is ever brave enough to play Cyber Dragons after Cyber Dragon Orcus is no longer a thing. Just fuse their board away for giggles. So yeah, this isn't a Awakening Dragon target, this is just a generic scoop your board away. Because sometimes we do want to play with big monsters. Moving on to side deck now. This side deck is kind of sparse and interesting because obviously my main stuff is in my deck. This is stuff I lend out. So 3 7 Tools the Bandit. So yeah, 3 7 Tools the Bandit. So this is there just to stop like evenly matched and solemn judgments. Although you don't really want to stop solemn judgment because you know there's not a lot for them to judgment here, and if they do side in judgment for any reason, they're a weirdo because 4K. But yeah, pay 1,000, negate a trap. So to stop the evenly matches, things like that. Because evenly matches, again, the one way you beat against burn, because we like our back row. 2 Sphere Mode, 3 Lava Golem. So this is there when we know we're going to be main to go second against a board making deck. So things like Pendulum, Thunder Dragons in a weird way. Anything that just makes big boards that are scary. And we can't really control because... Colossus Titan can just start popping our back row as we set them in our own phase. So yes, Lava Golems to get rid of boards, Sphere Modes to get rid of more boards. Lava Golem has the effect that they could burn in a standby phase for 1,000, so that's quite nice. Sphere Mode, if it lives a turn, comes back to us and it can't be attacked or destroyed by card effects. So yeah, this is a really good card. If it somehow comes back to us, it can protect us. This is just a beat stick that can also burn. If you summon this to their side of the field, take 1,000, and then they swing, you can, if you're really good with your trap tricks things, you can magic summon this, and that's 4k done right there. So yeah, only side you summon when you go in second. Other than that, we've got 3 Inspector Border. We're going to put on a bit of a helmet now, taking notes from our True Joker friends. So Inspector Border, really annoying card text. Basically, while it's on board and no other type of monster is on board. So when I say type, I mean type of card of monster. So Rituals, XYZs, Pendulums, Synchros, Links, Fusions. They can only use that amount of effects they currently control. So if they have 1, it gives 1 effect. If they have none, they can use no monster effects. So it can be really oppressive against decks that really need their monster effects. Again, we usually decide this in going second. But if it's going to really make a difference, you can decide it in going first as well. These are there because, especially the Inspector Borders, because the next card is one of my favourites that is meme-worthy. And this shouldn't really be for a competitive burn deck, but this isn't. This is just something fun for my friends to borrow. And it actually, no, I lie. It did alright at locals that someone went to with it. They actually did better than me, embarrassingly. We're not going to talk about that. 3 Clashing Souls. So in damage step, you can activate this if your monster has a lower attack. You can pay 500 life points. Your monster gains 500 life points. And you keep going until you choose not to. Your opponent can also use this effect, so whoever has the least attack. So... say you have Inspector Border and you swing into like, I don't know, a 2, what's a, like Jackal King, I think is 2/4, and they don't have a spell negate. You activate this, pay 500, make Inspector Border 2/5, they can pay 500, making Jackal King 2/9. You keep going. If someone chooses not to pay life points, and their monster would be destroyed by battle, instead of being destroyed by battle, they send every card they control to the grave. Every card. Back row, monsters, everything. Not destroyed, not removed by card effects, just sent. So you want to force your opponent into the option of get rid of your board or pay tons of life points. Usually they just pay tons of life points and then realise what's happening and then they stop and then their board gets wiped. If you get them down to like 2k and you're on 1k, it's like, yeah, fine, okay, I'll put my 2 cards in the graveyard, don't mind me. Set 4 burn cards, go. And then in a standby phase, you just burn them for like 3k for game right there and then because they paid too much for Clashing Souls. So yeah, really funny card, especially if your opponent doesn't know really what it's there for. And then 1 Mystic Mine, because if we're going second, we want to have another one to maybe open in the opening hand, just to shotgun it straight away and make sure that our opponent is locked down. Because again, this is a degenerate deck, but in a fun way, in an endearing way that we can make fun. So yeah, also just again another metaverse target as well, and then 3 tokens for the scapegoat. Scapegoat, the token maker, a geometry. This deck does really well against decks that don't make negates. If they make negates, then it kind of sucks. And I think that makes it a lot of back row. So Paleo, funny enough, Striker in a way, because Striker's really monster hate. We don't have a lot of monster hate. Sorry, we're not a very monster-centric deck. So this can still wins at locals, things like that. A lot of people don't like playing against it. I just say let the other guy have fun at the end of the day. Yeah, so this was a burn deck, guys. Sorry for the weird speaking. I'm still a bit loopy. I've been stuck in this house all day today. And I'll join you next time, guys. Make sure you subscribe and like. We're going to have more content coming out when I eventually do get out of my house and go and film some with my friends. Thank you very much, guys. See you next time.